So I am a James Lipton wannabe.
Okay.
So that brings me to the questionnaire that James Lipton uses at the end of all of his interviews, but I've modified it for demographics and race and cultural studies.
Okay.
So it's kind of a game, and I will be keeping score. There are no rules. I have 10 questions. You handle them the way you want. What is the most misapplied word in race and cultural studies?
Race.
What is your favorite word in race and cultural studies?
Power.
Woo. What is your proudest accomplishment at the Schomburg?
Seeing a room packed full of young people excited to be there.
What are you most proud of in your life?
Having a beautiful family, being married for 18 years, and having children who like me and love me.
What is your favorite curse word?
There's so many. Probably the F word. Private. It's sort of, a stub toe. That's the word. That's the word.
What is your least favorite curse word?
Probably GD.
What was the last reading you enjoyed?
Oh gosh, I read so broadly. I just finished a book. This is the thing I always struggle with because I'm reading across multiple.
Yeah.
I read Eric Larson's In the Garden of Beasts last summer. I went to Germany for the first time. I loved it. So that comes to mind just as a favorite. So I'll use that.
Okay, give us 3 books all people who believe they are white and who want to talk about race should read.
Okay. So the first would be The Condemnation of Blackness. The second would be The Fire Next Time. And I'm going to name, rather than The New Jim Crow, which would be too easy, I'm going to mention a colleague of mine, Elizabeth Hinton, from The War on Crime to The War on Poverty.
Absolutely. Okay, 3 books an interracial group should read and discuss.
Beloved by Toni Morrison. Also The Fire Next Time. And again, I hate favorite questions, so I can only catalog what's immediately to mind, but I think Between the World and Me is a very difficult book for everybody. So, Ta-Nehisi Coates.
All right, the following. Compare, contrast, or prefer. Civil rights movement or Black Lives Matter movement?
What's the setup question?
Compare, contrast, or prefer. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you think is important to say about that couple.
Compare.
Contrast, or prefer.
No, I got it.
Okay.
I'm choosing compare.
Oh, thanks.
I think that both represent youth-led movements, challenging an older generation's cultural and social norms with respect to state violence and oppression, and are committed to pushing all of us into uncomfortable spaces so that we arrive in a reality that is very different than the one where we began. And so I'm much more interested in seeing SNCC and Black Lives Matter as 2 sides of the same coin, rather than what has often passed as a critique of Black Lives Matter as being disrespectful, unfocused, not prepared to govern, as the president himself has often critiqued them for.
Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton? I might be a little late.
I voted for Bernie yesterday. Or
funk, jazz, or hip hop?
Definitely funk in that.
Prince or Jay-Z?
Prince.
Beyonce or Marvin Gaye?
I'm sorry, I'm just too old for this.
But do you remember Marvin Gaye's album, Here My Dear?
I don't remember the album names. I know this song.
Oh, okay. Well,
See, I didn't listen to those albums.
I only mentioned Here My Dear because that was his gift to his estranged wife when she wanted a divorce settlement.
Okay. Yeah.
You get it.
My son, who is a budding pianist, had all of a sudden decided he wanted to play Sexual Healing. I haven't heard him play any Beyonce.
Blackish or Gilligan's Island?
Oh, Blackish.
I thought I might get you on that one. You got it. Okay. Black Panther or Power Man?
What's
Black Panther, the superhero. See, then we can skip this question.
Yeah, it wasn't a comic book.
All right, so
I didn't know. I knew Black Panther, but I didn't know Power Man. Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll skip that question.
All right.
Okay.
Haven't we gotten to 10 yet?
No, we haven't.
I feel like I should quit while I'm at
No. Don't you want me to finish the last two? Okay. Misappropriation or cultural evolution? Rachel Dolezal. Misappropriation or cultural evolution?
This is interesting. I'll give two answers.
Go on, please.
When I first learned of Rachel's story, I was very sympathetic to her. But I read something recently that made me less sympathetic to her. So I'm going to stick with cultural evolution because I would rather have more white people wanting to be black, for whatever strange reason they might want to be black, than to despise, distance, and degrade blackness.
Misappropriation or cultural evolution? Charlie Pride.
That's a tough one.
You want to pass? You haven't passed yet?
I will pass.
Oh, man! Misappropriation or cultural evolution? Eminem.
Are we done with this yet?
No, almost. Close. I promise. Only two more questions.
I think the issue here is production, not talent. So it's hard for me to impute to Eminem appropriation because it's less about him, in my opinion, than it is about the industry and its consumers. So, again, I don't know Eminem well enough, but I think he genuinely evolved, borrowed, created, built upon, and so I'm going to call it cultural evolution.
Do you have a favorite quote by Khalil Gibran?
I used to when I was dating.
What was it? Share it.
I don't remember.
Oh, man! So was that something that you would use in the middle of the day? Laugh.
Of course, his whole body of work wrestles with contradiction, in such beautiful and profound ways. But I certainly remember being in a difficult relationship in college with a woman I dated for many years, and the poem On Love, the imagery of this hidden sword as a sign of the pain that comes with the deep attachments and fealty that one shares for another comes to mind. I cannot remember the verse,
right.
But if you go to On Love and look for the word sword in it, you'll know what I'm talking about, because that's how I was feeling, way too much.
This is the last question for me. Fill in the blank. Racism will end when?
When every child in America opens a textbook, a history textbook for the first time, and we start the story from the beginning just as it happened.
Amen.